This video will show you how to change your perspective to really attract what you want. I'm going to share with you a technique or practical exercise that you can do to really reform the way that you see the whole process so that things happen even quicker for you. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing something that I think can be a game changer for the way that you view the whole law of attraction process and understanding that your beliefs are creating your reality. That this goes deeper than just the law of attraction, than just focusing on what we want, because we will always get a direct reflection in our life of what we believe to be true. Now recently, because I'm developing a program right now that's all about completely reforming our subconscious mind and letting go of beliefs that no longer serve so that we really transform our life in a very powerful way, I've been studying everything I can possibly find on understanding beliefs and how to change our beliefs. And this is something that isn't necessarily as talked about as the stuff from the law of attraction, but I will say it is definitely more powerful than just using the law of attraction to focus on what we want. Now, this is because it gets more to the core, and part of this getting to the core has to do with understanding what our beliefs are. Now, this is an example that I recently read that I really resonate with. Imagine that all the beliefs we have, that the beliefs that we have about who we are, what we experience, we create a belief bubble around ourselves. Now, this is just a metaphor. The idea is this belief bubble is something that we keep alive through subconscious mind patterning towards recycled thoughts that we have, and it just keeps this bubble around us. And then we walk around in daily life, and we are seen through this perspective, through this lens, and everything we see will always be in reflection to what that bubble is sustaining, what it is projecting. Now, the way and the most powerful way for us to change our beliefs is to switch our perspective and learn how to neutralize what we are thinking, the memories we have, the thoughts about the future we have, to neutralize it all from an observer point of view. Now let me give you an example of this. Imagine that you are going and you're driving somewhere. Now realize first off that we get emotions from beliefs that we have, from perspectives that we have. And in order to very quickly change our beliefs or perspectives, it has to do with a shift in this level of awareness. Now, this was somebody that I read in a book recently. He was talking about an example of when he was driving to drop his dad off at the hospital, or he was bringing his dad to the hospital. His dad was a farmer. He was bringing his dad to his hospital because he had really bad back pains. And he was driving quickly to the hospital, but he realized that as he was driving quickly, it was making his dad uncomfortable because anytime they would go against a bump or on dirt road, it would make him hurt even more. So what he had to do is, on this road, he had to, whereas normally you would drive 60 to 70 miles an hour, he had to drive 40 miles an hour. Now normally, he had all these beliefs about how uncomfortable that made him feel to drive that slow, because then there was a line of cars behind him. And that line of cars, he was imagining, was getting very angry because he is driving and there's people behind him, and he knew that he would be mad if he was behind on a one-lane highway and there was someone that was driving slow. He was thinking of all the thoughts that he had. Through his belief bubble, he was thinking of, how would I feel about this? This is somebody that I would normally get very angry with. I would think they were idiots. Why are they driving so slow? I'd get angry and feel all this negative emotion. And then he imagined all the negative emotion that all of those drivers were feeling. Now, what happened is he drove, to the hospital, and then what happened is while he was driving, he had a shift in perspective, because then he started to see things from more of a neutral point of view, because instead of him getting mad at people that are in front of him in the future, he realized that he doesn't know their story. They could be doing something similar. They could be driving someone that doesn't like to be driven fast. They could be driving someone that's in pain. They could have multiple different reasons as to why they're driving slower. But you see, in the moment of us reacting, we're not aware of what those beliefs are, but the moment he switched that perspective and he realized that, everyone's having their own experience, he realized that everyone might have their own reasoning for why they're driving the way that they are, it made it so that from now on, he doesn't have to buy into the same emotions and the same perspectives as to what was priorly triggering him. So that simple experience changed his whole beliefs about the process, and from that point going forward, he no longer can get angry when somebody's in front of him that's driving slower, because he's been in that position and in that experience. Now this is a powerful example, because even though it's about something that's a little bit more mundane, we can apply this in our own lives. When we're able to see things from a neutral point of view, we take ourselves out of that belief bubble, out of that identity bubble of the way things work. And understand that identity bubble acts as a barrier of emotion, because whatever we perceive through that bubble is going to be the meaning as to the emotions we feel. Now understand, we cannot have an emotional reaction without first having a belief about something. So the example I always use is a rainy day. Depending upon what you believe about a rainy day and how you associate with it, that will determine whether you get a positive emotional reaction or a negative emotional reaction. And the way that you know that is through how you feel. And you can always ask yourself the question, what am I feeling right now? What is my perspective? And now one of the easiest ways to shift your perspective to then attract what you want is to first off neutralize it and to see it from new points of view. Now this is something that was also very powerful that I learned growing up, because when I was in forensics debate, which is just like debate, speech and debate back in high school, there were these competitions that we'd go to, and there were certain debate topics, and what we had to do is we had to have this certain topic. So for example, one of the topics was juveniles charged with violent crimes should be tried and punished as adults. That was one of the topics. I had to make an affirmative case and a negative case for that, because the day of the competition, I might go through 5 different debate rounds, and I might go the affirmative and negative. I might switch off every single time. You don't get to pick which side you're on. Now, the benefit of this is what I've learned early on, or when I was in high school at least, is that every perspective can be seen from a different point of view, especially when you have to debate it. You don't have a choice. You know, if I have to go the affirmative or negative, and whatever the topic is, if I don't agree with it, doesn't matter. I still have to debate it. Now, the beauty of this is that I learned that everything is fundamentally neutral, that if you get into the perspective of it, you will start to believe it. So that made me aware that, I don't have to be attached to any perspective, because I can see it from either point of view, whatever topic it is. Now, in the same way, what you can learn to do is to challenge your own beliefs. Challenge what you believe to be true. Say, how could I see this from a new point of view? That pops that little belief bubble that we have and allows us to really think from the way that we want. Now, let me give you the practical exercise that you can use to neutralize the old perspectives and to start to have the perspectives that you prefer. Easiest way to do this is to first off learn to observe your thoughts. If you learn how to observe your thoughts, everything will begin to change, because you move yourself from the reactive mind to then the observer mind. And in the observer mind is where all the magic happens. So for example, what I do is I meditate every day right when I wake up in the morning. What I do is I stare at a candle flame, because that helps my mind not wander. And I just focus on my thoughts. I focus on my breathing. I focus on observing my thoughts, not trying to control them. Now this is what happens, is as I observe those thoughts and I let them be there, eventually they start to go away more and more. I start to just observe them from that neutral place. That's what I encourage you to do, because as you do that within the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of when you wake up in the morning, and you do it for just maybe 5, 10 minutes, that trickles into the rest of your day, because then later on in the day, when you're reacting to something, you're like, oh yeah, I have an emotional charge to this. What is the belief I have about this? You can then learn to observe that, observe the emotion, observe the thoughts you have, and as you do that, that's where everything begins to change. Start to see and start to put yourself in other people's point of view. If you see that, you're behind somebody and they're driving really slow, what if, maybe this isn't always happening, but what if they're in a similar situation to that guy that I talked about earlier? What if they have someone in their car that is in pain and they have to drive that way? What if they're afraid to drive faster? And you can start to empathize and see that maybe if you were in a fearful situation in a car, that could be your perspective as well one day. And the idea is to just be aware and rationalize it. See it from a different rationalized point of view and start to do that to challenge those beliefs that you have. Challenge those beliefs and start to think to yourself, how could I see this from a different point of view? And as you start to do that, you take yourself out of the identity, the belief bubble that you have, and then you start to expand it out to a larger scope of vision to where things can actually happen in a much powerful way. Now let me tell you about the best news about what I've just recently done. I have created a subconscious mind meditation. It's kind of like a hypnosis. It is something that's specifically for repatterning the beliefs and perspectives that we have. Now, I was originally going to sell this, but I thought to myself, I think that people will get so much benefit from it. So what I did is I put it in a link in the description. It's at the very top. You can click on it. You can download it. I recommend that you listen to it right before you go to bed at night, and that what you do is you listen to it, you feel the emotions of what it's talking about. It uses NLP, it uses affirmations to really drill these ideas in, and that by doing that, it can profoundly change your life. I bet it tasted this by giving it to some of the coaching clients that I have, and they're all having amazing results with it. So I thought I have to get some way to put this out on YouTube for you guys. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and also make sure to hit that notification button so that you're able to see the daily videos that I do. And other than that, as always, I'll see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste.